Hey everybody, I'm here with local Denton children's author Ricky Gazelle. She's been a friend of mine for several years now. Now, Ricky, you've been writing a children's series about a cat named Dory. This series is called The Dory Story. Now, this is based on a true story, is that correct? Could you tell us more about that?
Hi, thank you. Yes, wow, this is really exciting. Thank you for talking with me. So, yes, the Dory stories are actually based on a true event. There will be 9 in the series. 2 are out. The third one is at the publisher and should be out sometime this summer. So, the background is after having kind of gone through some really difficult situations in my life, I was feeling a little bit like I need to do something, but I wasn't sure exactly what I needed to do. And one day at work, I noticed that somebody on my staff had a little tiny kitten and was given in a bottle at the meeting, at a big staff meeting we were having. So after the meeting, I went and visited with her, and she said, "Oh yeah," she said, "the shelter just needs foster parents. Foster, I guess, how would you call them? Pet parents? Foster pet parents. Anyway, pet foster parents to help with all these kittens." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like that would be great." And I like animals, so I went to the shelter and got myself all trained and got myself enrolled. And within a day, they called me and they had 2-day-old kittens, 2 brothers that needed to be bottle fed and cared for. And so I went and picked him up, and from there it just went, one litter after the next, and then I progressed it to actually volunteering at the shelter itself in the sick kitten room and helping the kittens who were in cages that never got to be socialized or handled or shown any affection or played with. And it just became a huge part of my life that I would do as much as I could do in addition to my full-time job. So I always had kittens with me everywhere I went, and on the weekends I was at the shelter as well. Well, part of my job would cause me to travel around the country for periods of time, and so I knew that one of these travels was going to be coming up, and I was going to be out of my home state for about 4 months. So I was explaining to them I can't foster any more kittens for a little while. And I had come to surrender the last litter that I had, and they had put this little kitten up on the counter there in a carrier and said that they really felt that he was going to die and they needed the cages for kittens that they felt actually had a chance to live. But did I want to try to foster him and work with him with the understanding that to expect him probably not to make it until the weekend? And this sad little thing turned around and looked at me with most pitiful eyes and just pierced my heart. And I said, "Yes, I'll take him." And so I took him home, and he had stopped eating by that point. I mean, he was in the process of trying to die. And I got him to take some little nibbles off the end of my finger and just got a little bit of nutrition in him. And all he really wanted to do was just be held. He was just so sad and so sick. And it took, well, he was around 7 weeks old then, so it took an additional almost 7 months before he was well. He was 9 months old before he was able to come out into the general environment. And of course, when it came time to travel and I went back to the shelter, I said, I got to go. And they said, "Well, we don't typically adopt kittens out if they're not fully well, but we know he's clearly bonded with you, and we know what you're going to do for him." And so they went ahead and let me adopt him, and we went through a slew of vets and a lot of money and a lot of supplies, but he got well. So that's where that's where the background kind of comes in on Dory. But when I decided to write the books, I wrote them from the angle and through my education as child development therapist and family development therapist. And I've been a pediatric therapist for years and years and years. And decided I can write this in a way that will appeal to children. It will appeal to their understanding, but it will also appeal to the questions that they may have in life or the feelings they have in life. And as Dory grows up, they can kind of grow up along with him and give them some sense of, oh, it's normal to lose a tooth, or what does it mean when we have to move, or what does it mean when we have to go to the doctor again, or what does it mean to be adopted, or what does it mean when we get a sibling and have to share toys, these kinds of things. So I wrote them as standalone books, but also in a way that parents and educators and other professionals could even use them to really visit with a child and maybe even have talking points. Yeah, they're beautiful.
9 in the series. Is that perhaps alluding to the old adage that cats have 9 lives? And you mentioned the third book will be out this summer. That's awesome. Now, you also mentioned the books explore a variety of different subjects. The first book seems to really focus on adoption, while the second focuses on moving and how that makes us feel, especially when, in the case of a little one, that it might be their first time moving. The illustrations in those are just beautiful, by the way. My question is each episode in this series going to focus on a different life lesson?
Yes, yes. Yes, definitely 9 in the series because supposedly cats have 9 lives. I think Dory has lived 109 lives already, but he's doing well, thank goodness. Yes, but that is the rationale behind 9 books. And honestly, there are 9 reasons to write these books. They do have sort of life lessons that are real to families and children. So probably we have a lot more things we question in life than 9, but nine is where we're going to stop with this set of books.
All right, so let's focus on episode 1. That's titled "Dory Gets a Forever Family." It seems to really focus on the theme of adoption, which would definitely strike close to home to anybody who's been adopted or in the system or is looking to adopt. The illustrations on these are beautiful, by the way. Can you tell us more about that?
So yeah, the first book is about meeting Dory, and at that point his mother has already been adopted from the shelter and he's very sick and clearly very forlorn, really, really needing his forever family. And as for me being an adopted person myself, I really, really understand that. And I have quite a few friends who also are adopted. So I really went with that theme of having a forever family, discovering what it feels like to have a forever family, to have that unconditional love that children need. And so that would be the first book. And of course, intertwined through the book is also just the kind of hardship of dealing with this chronic illness and the level of care that he needed, because children also get sick, whether it's just a little cold or whether it's something more serious. It's very frightening to a child to not feel well. So I really wanted to talk about that as well, to comfort children that even while they're going through the illness, that they are being loved, they are being cared for.
So I can see why adoption would be very near and dear to your heart. The episode, as you just mentioned, does also explore illnesses and not feeling well, which is very scary when you're a child. But it also creates a lot of excellent kind of talking points for parents and educators, jumping off points to really explore some of these themes more in depth. I also noticed that it's written with Dory's internal monologue kind of accompanying the story. Can you tell us why you chose to format it that way?
So yeah, I did want to write through the first person of Dory because I wanted the child to kind of see the world through Dory's eyes and help them identify with whatever they may be processing or experiencing, and to kind of get in touch with their own thoughts and feelings, and that if they were experiencing anything similar to that or knew somebody that was, it might also help them maybe have words to speak to their parents or caregivers, or whoever that they needed to trust in, that what does it feel like, or I have a tummy ache, mom, and I'm scared to go to the doctor, and kind of help them get in touch with those things, and maybe even give them some words to help them express what they were feeling.
Well, that's really awesome. It's obvious to me that this is a very special and heartfelt series that you're creating here. Uh, Ricky, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. For everybody listening, you can find the Dory Story on Amazon, Books a Million, or Barnes and Noble, in ebook and paperback formats. And Ricky, I cannot wait to talk to you about book two. Thank you again so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to talking with you again in the future. More Dory stories coming your way.